welcome back to Reset and Rise podcast. I'm your host, Coach Sabrina Woods, and today I want to talk to the parts of you that's tired, that's been holding it together for everyone else. The parts that's asking yourself, how did I even get here? This episode is for the woman who's been holding on for too long, for the woman who questions her worth in someone else's story, for the woman who keeps giving chances to someone who doesn't even treasure her presence. And today, we're talking about walking away from relationships that are not healthy and what it happens to our spirit, our mind, and our self-worth when we stay for way too long. And lastly, how to rebuild when we finally choose ourselves. But let's be honest, when does staying become self-abandonment? Some of us call it compromise. We can call it working through it. We tell ourselves that no relationship is perfect, but over time, that compromise becomes self-abandonment. You stop expressing your needs. You stop doing the things that bring your soul joy, and you apologize for things that aren't your fault just to keep the peace. And then one day, you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize the woman staring back. That's what these relationships do to us. They erode our voice until silence becomes our survival strategy. But let's talk about the dialogue no one hears. Here's what we whisper to ourselves in those moments. Maybe I'm the problem. If I could just love them better. This must be as good as it gets. It's not always this bad. They didn't mean it. We gaslight ourselves long before anyone else does. We start managing someone else's emotions while completely ignoring our own. And slowly, our boundaries fade. We tell ourselves it's easier not to fight, but easier doesn't mean healthier. And silence isn't peace. It's just quiet suffering. But let's talk about boundaries, because usually that's the first thing we lose in toxic or unhealthy dynamics. A boundary isn't about control. It's about clarity. It's you saying, this is what's okay for me, and this is what's not. But when we're in these types of relationships, we learn to stretch, we mold, and we bend to keep connection. And soon, those clear lines become blurred compromises. We tolerate more than we should, we silence our intuition, and we internalize their behaviors as a reflection of our own worth. But the truth is, no one, absolutely no one can honor a boundary we won't enforce. When I hit rock bottom, I found this road. There was a time when I felt untouchable, not because I was strong, but because I was so emotionally numb, I stopped feeling anything. I was sleeping on the streets, and my own family, the adults who were supposed to protect me, were less than a mile away. A warm home, a plate of food, a couch, all just minutes from me. But I wasn't welcome. That kind of rejection cuts deep. And yet, what hurt even more was me giving my heart to someone who kept breaking it and still coming back, hoping for a different ending. But one day, I got the courage to ask him, why did you treat me the way you did? He looked at me and said nothing. He had no answer. And in that silence, I realized something so powerful. I wasn't going to get that apology. I wasn't going to get closure. And I didn't even need it anymore, because closure doesn't come from them. It comes when we stop needing them to validate our pain. Now hear me. You are not to blame for someone else's mistreatment, but healing Healing requires that we look at our own patterns too, not to shame ourselves, but to set ourselves free. Ask yourself, why did I stay after recognizing the first red flag? What made me confuse pain with love? And what part of me believed that I didn't deserve more? We often find it so much easier to see someone else's flaws, to point out where they were wrong. And yes, sometimes they were. But healing doesn't live in finger pointing. Healing begins the moment we ask, what was I believing about myself that made me stay? That is how we take our power back. But now, let's talk about the piece we skip far too often: self-care after the storm. I've learned that this isn't just about bubble baths and journaling. This is the soul work, that deeper issue that holding us back. It's unlearning those old patterns and giving ourselves permission to start over. For me, real self-care looks like this. I now say no without guilt. I'm able to rest now without feeling lazy. I cry without rushing the healing. I reclaimed my morning rituals and routines. I started going to therapy. I started working with a coach. In fact, very early in my recovery, I used both at the same time. I had a therapist and I had a coach. I started rebuilding my routines. I started setting goals, and I started truly understanding what inner safety felt like to me. It's asking, what does my nervous system need to feel safe again? How can I pour back into me? Because when you loving others from a place of survival, healing, it really can feel foreign at first, but it's necessary. We often are so good at telling ourselves negative things about ourselves, self-sabotaging. But what if we started today flipping the script? If you're in those moments and you're having a bad day and you hear yourself saying something negative like, I am not enough, that is your moment to challenge yourself and flip the script. The language that we use with ourselves determines how we show up for ourselves. We have to start practicing flipping the script. You hear yourself saying, I'm not enough. Flip that script into, I am worthy of love that doesn't cost me myself. If you're someone who hears yourself saying that I need closure, flip the script by telling yourself that your peace is your closure. Often, when someone mistreats us, we gaslight ourselves by telling ourselves that they didn't mean it. Here's how we can flip that phrase. Impact matters more than intent. Oftentimes, we get to a place where we're blaming ourselves, and that sounds like this: I should have done more. Ladies, if you know in your heart that you have done everything you possibly could, flip those words into, I did my best and now it's time to do better for me. We don't live in blame, shame, and guilt anymore. Put that blame, shame, and guilt, put it in a little package, tie a pretty little bow on it, and return it to sender. We don't live there no more. But understanding at the same time that when we find our truth, we need a plan to rise. You're not just walking away. You're walking into something greater. So here's your reset and rise plan. Ladies, a 6-step plan that you can use starting today. Number 1, create a boundary statement. It can sound something like this: I am no longer tolerating being yelled at, ignored, or manipulated. My boundary statement that I hold deep, deep, deep in my heart: I will no longer tolerate anyone treating me less than I deserve. And that is my number one boundary. If someone crosses it, we have a problem. Number 2, list your self-worth truths. It can sound like this: I am valuable even when I am not needed. Number 3, write a closure letter that you will never send. Number 4, find one healing ritual a day: walking, prayer, tea, journaling, music, breath work, talking to a trusted friend. Whatever brings your soul the most happiness, schedule it into your day every day. We have to be more willing to celebrate ourselves and give ourselves what we need because we deserve it too. Step 5, invest in your healing. Intentionality is everything. Start journaling. Find a support group in the area that you need the most support. Sign up for a self-help group. Sign up with a coach. You have the answers inside of you. Surround yourself with the ladies who are going to uplift, support, and encourage you and not judge. 6, this is big because I had the most problem with this because I didn't know how to do it. I did not know how to forgive myself. So ladies, forgive yourself for the times that you betrayed your own heart to feel love. Because your nervous system needs to believe it. And when your body and mind isn't in sync, we believe what we're saying to ourselves. I can say I am worthy, but if I get into my power stance, with my fighting moves, ready to fight this day, let's get it. And I say something like, I walk away with grace and not guilt. Guess what? I'm teaching myself to believe it. I may not believe it when I say it, but consistency is everything. When I first started, I didn't know how to walk away with grace. I didn't know how to not feel guilty. I didn't know how to stop people pleasing. But over time, incantations helped me take my power back. Ladies, you have to find your answers and what works for you. The next incantation: I am not hard to love. I've just been loving people who can't receive me. Woohoo! That's powerful. Number 3, I deserve safety. I deserve peace. I deserve joy. We have to tell ourselves and remind ourselves on a daily basis what we do deserve, what we will not tolerate anymore. That's why that boundary statement, I will not allow anyone to treat me less than I deserve, is held so deep inside of me. Because at one point, everyone who came across me treated me like I was less than. That stopped. I will not never allow anyone to treat me less than I deserve. Number 4, I do not have to stay to prove my loyalty. The only person that I need to be loyal to is me. Ladies, when I started implementing my boundaries and showing people that I'm not going to take less than I deserve, it was hard. And I lost a lot of people, but I found my power, I found my voice, and I found my peace. And I no longer shrink, I no longer settle, and I walk with my head held high because my past does not define me. I made it through the very thing that was trying to take me out, and I rebuilt my life into what I wanted it to be. That is enough. I choose me, and that is enough. Now, each segment, I also leave you with some homework, some journaling prompts. I truly believe, and I'm a huge advocate for getting to the deeper parts of ourselves and the truth. Because once we get to the truth, we can figure a game plan out of how to move forward in a way that is aligned with how we truly feel. I'm going to say this, ladies, when I started my journey, I was angry. I was mean. I had an attitude, but inside I was dying. I was full of guilt, full of self-hate, full of self-sabotaging thoughts. I had limited beliefs. I was a mess. And I was stuffing every single emotion that I was feeling into the pit of my stomach. And they piled on top of each other. But one by one, I started sitting in my truths, in my mess, and each layer that I took off of that mess, I got better. I got stronger. It got easier. I started giving myself what I deserved. So I want you to ask yourself, what boundary do I need to set today to protect my peace? What version of me do I want to reconnect with? When we're in these relationships and we're surrounding ourselves with negativity and we're not choosing us, we forget who we are. We forget our boundaries. We forget our self-worth. We forget our standards, morals, values. All of that goes out the door because all we want to do is feel connected to that person. Number 3, what did this relationship teach me and what am I choosing to leave behind? Every relationship teaches us something, but we also have to recognize the very thing that we're leaving behind, because when we move forward, we're not going to settle for that again. We're learning. Number 4, what does self-care look like for me now that I am healing? Self-care can look different for all of us. So take some time to understand what self-care really looks like for you. Not for your sister, not for your cousin, but what does self-care look like for you? What do you need to do for yourself to bring yourself peace, love, happiness, and joy? Number 5, who am I becoming and how can I support her journey? You see, there's a version of ourselves out there right now just waiting for us to walk into her. We have to understand who we want to become and how we can best support ourselves. I want you to know that leaving isn't a weakness. It's courage, it's healing, and it's growth. Ladies, you don't need permission to choose peace. You don't need validation to walk away. And this is the one right here that I needed to learn. I needed to learn this because I needed this. You don't need closure for someone who couldn't even give you kindness. Ladies, I used to say, I need to understand why this person did this to me, why they treated to me, why couldn't they accept me, what did I do so wrong? I held on to that hurt and that pain for so long that it became a part of me. I started this journey with no boundaries, no self-respect, no self-care. I just wanted someone to accept me for me and apologize to me for not being the person they should have been for me. But they couldn't even be kind to me. So why did I really need closure for someone who couldn't even give me a shred of kindness when I needed it the most? The only thing that you need is a decision to rise. So sis, reset your boundaries without guilt. Reclaim your worth and rewrite your story. Because walking away isn't the end, it's the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And if this episode moves something in your soul, send it to a sister who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to go deeper and allow me to sit with you in your truths and help support you as you walk through it, come join me inside the Passion and Purpose Midlife Coaching Program. I'll walk with you step by step, one truth at a time, until you rise again. So until next time, take care of your heart, reset your boundaries, and rise into the best version of yourself. You are not alone.